So my name is Dru Lira. I'm an artist producer from Monrovia, California. Yeah, I started out as a fan, then as I got older, I began to obtain a voice, and I was conscious about my ears when it came to certain type of sounds and certain type of words in a song. And so I took it upon myself to start making music, start writing raps, start producing. I started to start little by little. I had a couple mentors on the way, but ultimately I kind of just kept going, and I started off as that, and then now, I'm taking it back to the point where I get to see the fruit from my tree that I planted from years ago. Man, so if I could recall an early memory about music, I would say it was the first time I heard the College Dropout, Kanye West. I remember I heard that album and I was like, wow, like it sounds so different at the time, because at that time it was all about gangster rap, but he was just coming in as like a regular dude. And so I remember listening to Through the Wire, and I was like, man, like what is this? Like what? And then that's where I started my journey of like hip hop, as far as early on. And yeah, listening to people like Kanye, Kid Cudi. Um, Also, being from the West Coast, I listened to a lot of like, Dom Kennedy, a lot of DJ Mustard on the production side, Hit Boy too. Um, yeah, just like a lot of mixture of like West Coast, but then soulful stuff. Man, Monrovia, it's a small town in the San Gabriel Valley. Most people are familiar with Pasadena. It's like right there. Growing up in Monrovia, though, it was like a small town. Not too many things going on there. There's not really a music scene. Growing up, I didn't really see anybody do music. There was people that tried to do music, but they just never went anywhere with it, or they just stopped. And I always wonder, like, why hasn't there been somebody out here or something? Because there's like films that shot there, like famous ones, and people go there, but like there's not a sonic to it. And so I always wonder, like, wow, like why not? And then as I got older, I was like, all right, fill in the void. I like to solve the problem, in that section. And so, but growing up there, it's two things, man. If you want to retire or if you want to raise a family, that's where you go. So I'm actually gonna drop my first EP, officially on a quality level. So that's what I'm looking for. It's called West 2K. So West 2K is a subgenre in hip hop I created along. I dropped a song called Like That, and I performed it with you guys, and that song, it started off that genre. I was in the studio one day and I was thinking to myself, like, man, like this sounds like different. Like it sounds like it's been before, but it sounds like it's not established though in this way. And especially when I'm on there, rapping and singing. And West 2K is essentially West Coast Midwest flow mixed with Y2K sonics, and so that's the bridging the gap with the sounds, colliding. And yeah, I'm really excited to present to the world of like what that is to come in the future and now. Yeah, so right now I'm in the production state of the EP.
Got you.
I got like 5 songs so far, and I'm planning to drop it within the summer upcoming. Yeah. Well, for me, it's kind of an interesting take on it because, um, like, I have like that West Coast influence, but then I also can do the melodic tone and the cinematic vibe to the music. It's just not that one dimensional where it's like, the typical gangster or street. I like to put musical elements in my music, things that could like really make you move or feel, That's kind of like my motto when it comes to creating. If I don't feel it, then I won't sing it or rap it. But if I do, then it'll come out pretty beautiful. I actually started writing raps and a little bit of producing after that. I remember I could recall a time where I made that decision where, yeah, like this is where I want to do, this is where I want to go. Just being a fan was like the compass of where my life was gonna go. So I took that initiative and just started writing raps and then making beats here and there. But once I got better at, like kind of doing it behind the scenes, that's when I felt more confident to really, put it on the table and like project it. Because it took a long time to, find that pocket where I fit in. Because, at first you kind of make what's influence, like your influence, and then through time you like figure out as you learn and progress, you start to take little things here and there, and then you make your own eventually. And so that's how West 2K came about like 2 years ago when I made a song like that. At first I didn't even know. It was just kind of like, oh, let me just try this and see where I could do with it. And so I made music, I made songs, beats where I didn't really feel as confident about them because it was just me taking a take on it. And so I would say it took a long time for me to get good at the craft, but I would say finding my sound didn't take too long after I got to that moment where I was realizing that, oh, like this is where it all makes sense now because I put all that time and effort to get good at the craft and to learn the techniques and stuff. And so then when West 2K came about, it just felt like, the timing was right. So I'm a little old school, I like the pen and pad type of thing where, you just sit and write. Because for me, that forces you to think outside the box because you're like sitting there and like, deconstructing and how can I make it better. And so, I started doing that maybe like 3 years ago, and it really changed my approach with writing songs. And I would say I got better at that because now, before you just freestyle the melody and then, come back to it later. But I think writing it out and, it really gives it a different feel of it. So I'll say I like to write my stuff. But, sometimes you got those songs where you just kind of, freestyle it and get it done right then and there. Because to me, there's two types of songs. There's the songs where, right then and there in that moment, you just actualize. But then there's the ones where you sit on it and you nurture it a little bit more. So those are probably more like contemporary, but yeah, that's like my process. Definitely, man. I mean, you know, when it's production time, I kind of listen to what I need to do. But sometimes when the song is out, I kind of like don't listen to it for a while. But I mean, I would say the song that I'm really like, that I'm always like curious to see what people are gonna say or how they feel about it is the song I said earlier about like that. I mean that one, that song when I made that song, it was like a big change in like my uh, journey because everybody was listening to, everybody was like singing it. I had, I remember one day I woke up and I heard my father whistling the hook, and I was like, wow, like that's it's such a nonverbal thing. Like it just like he didn't even think about it. It just like he felt it, and so for me, I felt that it was so powerful, and so that song is very special because it's just that universally accepted. People don't even have to know who I am. They could just listen to it and they're just like, wow. So I'll say that's my favorite right now. But I got this upcoming project, West 2K, I got some in there that's the same, like, take. Even every song that I, start writing or start singing to it or rapping, I always put that energy where I want to have substance in it, whether it is just a fun song or, more a contemporary vibe. But, yeah, it's just, I do think about it more than just a song when I create because, as I create, I automatically have these visuals that, um, you know, oh, I could hear this in a movie, or I could see this in the scene, or I could see like at a party or whatever. It just comes. You know, it's like I see colors when I make music. I see visuals when I make the music. It's just, you know, it all comes together. But I have to, you know, like not get caught up in that. I got to focus on what I have to do at that moment. Then I can go back and start, you know, carving out those edges and stuff. But yeah, I do think about, oh yeah, like this is more of a heartfelt song for the fans or just for me mostly. But yeah, I do think about what I'm trying to convey with the song that I'm making. Yeah, man, I definitely changed my perspective on it a lot. Cause you know, growing up, it was all natural. You know, to you know, you put your uniform on and you feel good, you look good, you feel good. You know, but as I got you know older and I progressed more as an artist, I would definitely say that it changed a lot because now you go into things with that mindset of like, all right, yeah, like you gotta you know portray what you're marketing or branding as yourself because that's you're the brand, right? And so you know definitely taking consideration of like what I'm trying to put out visually or sonically. In 2 years, I really see myself, you know, starting to tour with other artists. I start to see myself, you know, just having more music out. You know, a catalog is really the goal to put more catalog out, so that way fans can have more to digest. And so, yeah, more music, touring artists, definitely doing more into fashion as well. You know, I really love that take on it because you know it's another way to express what you're trying to get a point across. And so, doing like you know fashion stuff, whether that's like fashion shows, clothing brand, things like that, and then also to film. You know, I want to get into writing like different types of you know like movies or TV shows or even like series stuff like that because you know like I mentioned earlier about TV shows and movies like I really like that take. You know, comedy is definitely something that interests me to work in the future, but I definitely see more progress than the years prior. Man, you can find me at Dru Lira, DRULIRA, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Reels, everywhere. I'm on all stream platforms. You could definitely tap in.